How's it going, everybody? It's Stas here. So the stock market had a pretty interesting day today. S&P 500 up $5, up about 0.2%. The Dow Jones up $160, up 0.6%. And the Nasdaq dropped the ball today, giving back some of the gains from yesterday, down $120, down about 1.1%. And in this video, we're going to be talking more about the stock market, breaking down some technicals, going over where we could be headed here over the next couple of days. And I also want to break down 10 stocks in particular that I'm looking to buy right now in the stock market, as well as what I've been doing as of late with my personal trading in the stock market in the month of July in 2020. So a lot to go over in this video. If you guys find value, all I ask from you is to hit that like button, consider subscribing to the channel, and check out all the free links down below in the description box if you want to join our Discord chat, Facebook group, and if you want 2 free stocks from Webull valued up to $1,400, all you have to do is deposit $100 into the account using that link down below, and you get your 2 free stocks, again, valued up to $1,400. So let's get into today's video like we always do with the good old S&P 500. And again, it wasn't too crazy of a day today, but the bulls won yet again, and let me explain why. So we can see clearly the S&P 500 gapped up today, gapped up to about 3277 to be exact, and ever since it did that at about 9:40 a.m., 9:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, it was pretty much smooth sailing for the rest of the day. You guys can see we actually struggled at about 3270 multiple times throughout the day. Once here, twice, 3 times, in the middle of the day, right around lunchtime here on the East Coast. And with about 2 hours left in the market at about 2 p.m., we tried breaking out at 3277 again. If we took that out, if the bulls took that out, that would have been very good for the bulls, obviously, but the bulls failed to break out and ended up falling all the way back down to 3255. So you may be asking yourself, Stas, how did the bulls win if we only went up $5 and we fell during the last 2 hours of the day? Well, very simple. Again, we took out yesterday's high, so we hit a higher high today, which is a very good sign for the bulls. We hit 3277, and we pulled down, and we actually held yesterday's close, yesterday's high, as a new support. We closed on top of it, as well as the 180 SMA here, this gold line on the 5-hour chart. This is very, very good news for the bulls, and this means for tomorrow, especially if we hold 3250, guys, which it seems like we is here after hours, I'm going to be watching to see if the S&P tries to fill the gap back up to 3277, right? That's what the bulls are going to try and do tomorrow, and that's if the bulls end up holding 3250. If this level breaks here, guys, we might be going down to test, let's say, 3230, 3240, which if you guys have been following the channel and if you've been following the markets yourselves, you know that is where the S&P 500 struggled back in the last week, let's say. I think that was last week, back on the 15th through the 20th of July. So at this point, bulls are in charge, no doubt about it. Watch for this range tomorrow, this 20-point window we're in on the S&P 500 at this point. This is going to be very, very important in determining direction, depending on if we break the resistance or the support, right? And if we go over here to the Dow Jones Industrial Average, guys, and before we do, actually, the S&P, the top-end target, we've been talking about this a lot. If we take out 3275, 3280 again, which is where we struggled today, we may be going up to 3300 to about 3330. That's the main level, the main kind of range that I'm thinking the S&P can get to, especially if big tech bounces, if big tech reports strong earnings. And if you guys didn't know, tomorrow on Wednesday, Microsoft, as well as Tesla, both of them are reporting earnings. And we'll probably get some more insight whether or not Tesla will be a part of the S&P 500, which is going to be huge, and I'm sure many of you guys have already researched that. And it's dependent from what I've researched on their profit, right? The S&P 500, there's a lot of restrictions to get into the S&P 500. So Tesla, from my understanding, is pretty much there at this point, almost there. So a lot's going to happen tomorrow, and of course next week with Apple and Amazon reporting. So this is going to shape up where the market's going to go, because these are the biggest stocks out there: Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Facebook, right? And they make about 6% of the S&P 500. So if these stocks push higher, it's likely that the S&P is going to fill up to that level again at about 3330. And going over now to the Dow Jones, again, the Dow Jones outperformed today. Well, not outperformed all the markets. The main three it did, but when it comes to the Russell 2000, it did not outperform. Russell 2000 was up $20 today, up about 1.3%. But back to the Dow, ended up closing under a pretty big level of resistance here at about 26,900 to about 27,000 bucks. That's where we struggled back in the beginning of March. Back, let's say, literally a couple days ago, we struggled there, as well as we actually held this as a support back in the beginning of June before gapping under it, making it a resistance again. So needless to say, this is a very important spot on the Dow, and until we break out, the bulls are in control at this point on the Dow as well, but until we break out, the bulls aren't going to be fully in control quite yet, because we need to break out. The bulls need to break out to hit a higher high in the overall uptrend pattern. Again, we're kind of stagnant here over the past couple of days. So watch for 27,000 to break. If it does here on the Dow, we might be going up to 27,500. So going over here to the NASDAQ, a lot of people are saying, and they were telling me, Stas, is this the start of the NASDAQ crash? And guys, the truth is, it doesn't seem like it is based on these technicals. And quite honestly, I'm not surprised that we saw a decent pull down in the NASDAQ today. Guys, we were up 3% almost yesterday. I think like 2.8, 2.9%. The NASDAQ was up. So the fact that it gave back a little bit of that, down about 1%, it's still up 2% on the week. It's still up a lot. So this is a healthy pull down, in my personal opinion, kind of in anticipation of these earnings from the big tech names that are coming up. And quite honestly, this could be a profit-taking day as well, which kind of stems off of the massive green day that we saw yesterday in the NASDAQ. If you guys recall, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, all the big names out there, except for Netflix. Netflix was quiet, but all the other ones, all the other big tech names yesterday, they crushed it. They were up like 7, 8, 9%. Shopify was up 10%. These stocks were going, a lot of these big tech names, they were going ballistic, right? So at this point, if we're looking on this hourly chart, one could argue, yeah, maybe the NASDAQ pulls down to retest this green 50 SMA. That would put it down to about 10,700 to about 10,750. I think that's healthy, and that's very reasonable. If we pull up this 5-day 5-minute, it already broke the 180 SMA and the 50 SMA here. So one could argue that we are headed down to those 10,700, 750 levels based on these different time frames. So at this point, guys, anything could happen. Anything could happen. If Microsoft kills earnings tomorrow, we could be flying back up. That could lead other tech stocks up, and this could be just a little blimp of a dip in the radar before we smash through all-time highs, and we could end up gapping down. If Microsoft disappoints, kind of like Netflix, and they dump, watch out below on the NASDAQ, especially if the other big tech stocks follow. So it's kind of an iffy spot right now. If I were to guess, I think we're going higher. That's kind of what I've been saying here. I think tech is going to go go even higher from here. As crazy as that sounds, I think they're going to go higher after earnings, but that's just my opinion. Always do your own due diligence, your own research when it comes down to the stock market, guys. But I'd love to know, what do you have to think down below in the comments section. I'd love to know your opinions as I respond. I try to respond to all of the comments. It's a lot of work, guys. The comment section is starting to get flooded now since the channel is growing, but I still try and put my effort in to comment back to you guys for putting that time in to comment, and of course watch the video as well, which I really appreciate all you guys watching. So those are some thoughts there across the different markets here. And speaking of markets, the gold market, almost forgot. Gold today, guys, up 26 bucks. Killer day on gold, up 1.4%. Gold stocks crushed it. We'll go over here in a couple minutes what I personally did with my gold options here. I had a GDX option calls, and yeah, we'll talk about what I personally did in the markets right now. And again, drop a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on the stock market. Now, for what I personally did, I was pretty active today. I ended up selling out of half of my Amazon position. If you guys recall, I ended up buying into Amazon yesterday, pre-market at $3,004. We rallied like crazy to $3,200 yesterday. And believe it or not, guys, the tech rally continued pre-market. Amazon got to about $3,260, but honestly, I was a bit greedy. I didn't sell out pre-market. In hindsight now, I probably should have, but hindsight's 2020, guys. And I didn't sell pre-market, but ultimately I ended up setting a little stop loss at 31.80, and that is what triggered, guys. That's what triggered, and I ended up selling, again, half of my position for a nice profit at 31.80, and to see exactly how much of a profit that was, roughly it was about a 5.5% profit. So 5.5% profit there. I'm letting my other half of the position on Amazon ride at this point. I might sell before earnings. We'll see what ends up happening. But ultimately, I'm liking how it ended up holding 3,100. That was an old resistance from the 15th of July. So the bulls held that. That's very good. But the bulls did not break out of 3,150, guys. So we're kind of in this 50-point window at this point. And tomorrow's going to be interesting, because do we break out of 3150, 3160 into the 3170s? That would be very bullish. Or do we end up taking 3100 out? And at that point, I'd probably just lock in profits on the rest of my position. But the fact that I'm holding my shares, I believe that Amazon will probably get above 3150, take out the highs here, and that's kind of where I plan on selling, between 3250 and about 3300. That's where I want to sell the rest of my position. So I also ended up selling out of my GDX call options today, guys, and the reason is because GDX has been on a ridiculous tear recently. Quite honestly, I think it's due for a pull down. I think gold might cool off a bit. Not to say I'm bearish on gold, guys, and the gold stocks, but we saw this happen before. I mean, this thing rallied from 16 all the way to 36. It cooled off for about a month. I mean, this thing cooled off from 38, not 36. Did I say 36? I meant 38. 38, it cooled off from 38 down to about $32, about a month of a cool off, before sparking this rally that we're on now from 32 up to about 41. And we got oversold on the RSI. And quite honestly, guys, those call options, if you guys recall, I was in the GDX $40 September 18th 2020 call options. You know, I was holding these for I think like 2 months at this point. I was in the hole about 20, 30, 40%, held it out, and I ended up, you know, popping up 30% today, up 30% on my position, and I figured, let me just lock this profit in very quickly, up 30% on these contracts here. And if the pull down, the cool off theory ends up panning out, which I think GDX might cool off to, you know, it makes sense to about $36, $38. If that happens, I could just end up buying more call options at a lower price. If that happens, I can maybe even buy back the same call options at a lower not strike price, but, at a lower cost, at a lower premium. So we'll see what ends up happening there, but I felt comfortable locking in 30% on those call options today. And my biggest win of the day today, guys, was by far Virgin Galactic. Let's talk about this one, SPCE. And if you guys don't follow me on Instagram at StasserFest, follow me there. We call all these stocks out. And Twitter at StasserFest, follow me there as well. And in the Discord chat, I try and call everything out there as well. Link down below. We talked about yesterday how I bought Virgin Galactic at $23.62 as well as $22.22, building a position at an average cost of around $23.20. And I took advantage of the dip yesterday. You guys can see we struggled at about $24.50. That was a resistance from the 17th. We struggled there pre-market. We pulled down, but we ultimately held $22, old resistance from the 16th as a new support, and we held the 50 SMA on this hourly chart at a higher low, and that was my position to strike. And again, I got in at $23.60 at first. It was a bit premature, but I ended up adding more on the further dip, again at $22.22, bringing my average cost down to $23.20. And today, guys, we got a ridiculous rally. I mean, we closed up 8.5%, but at the peak, we hit $26.30. I mean, that's ridiculous. It was up like 15%. So I got out at about $26.04, exactly at $26.04, making my move from $23.20 up to $26.04, roughly, I think it was close to, about 11%. You guys may be asking yourself, Stas, how do you nail the tops? And the truth is, guys, there's some luck involved, of course, and you don't always nail the tops. And I talk about this on the channel all the time. It's like a game of odds, right? You're not going to always nail the top, but sometimes you will nail the top. And I'm transparent with you guys, and I talk to you guys about, sometimes I nail the tops and sometimes I don't. But today, I sold out on this spike right here at $26.04. We pulled down, we popped, and we ended up dumping after. So technically, I sold it at the top today. But the truth is, guys, you can't always do that. Today just happened to be one of those days where I ended up selling out at the top. And the truth is, I have an advantage here. I'm not going to lie to you guys, because this is what I do full time. I mean, I'm a trader. I do the YouTube thing, and that's what all my time goes to at this point. So I have that advantage that I can be on my computer looking at charts throughout the day, while other people, maybe that they have a job or something like that, they don't have that opportunity because they're doing other things. So I was watching Virgin Galactic today like a hawk. Again, I do this full time. This is what I do for a living, right? And I was able to nail that move there, about, again, 11%. On that move, and I also ended up locking in my McDonald's swing trade. So a lot of profit taking for me today. McDonald's, I ended up picking this one up last week at about $191.05. Nothing too crazy. Locked in today at about $194, right around here. Big resistance at $194. That's what I ended up doing today. Again, a lot going on in my personal account today, a lot of movement, and I'd love to know what you guys have to think down below in the comment section about what you guys did, what my trades, and again, what are your thoughts on the stock market in general at this point. So there's two earnings reports here that I want to go over, and if you guys hear my little dog barking, why are you barking right now? Why are you barking? She's sitting right next to me right now. She's barking a little bit. There must be there's some noises on the house or whatever. She barks sometimes, guys. So if you hear that, that's my little dog, and her name is Ibiza, and she's probably going to bark right here. Oh, there she goes. So two earnings reports I want to go over in this video. One of them is Snapchat, ticker symbol SNAP. They just reported earnings today. EPS came in at -9 cents versus -10 cents estimated, so they beat there on EPS. EPS, and sales came in at $454 million versus the $433 million. So they beat on EPS, they beat on revenue, and the stock here after hours, guys, is tanking. We went down 53 cents at the close, down 2%, and the stock gapped down all the way to 21.30, and now it's actually rebounding. So let me take that back. It's not tanking. It did tank, but now it's rebounding and hovering at about $23. And if you guys open up this 4-hour chart, let me show you all this. That is actually where the stock is finding, or it's actually where the stock has found in the past support. You can see over the past couple of months at this 180 SMA on this 4-hour chart, Snapchat has held that level. So this could be a buying point. Quite honestly, I'm looking at this one tomorrow as a potential buying point as we saw those basic metrics, EPS, revenue, beat. So that's pretty good. And the drop following that, that could be opening up an opportunity here. And Coca-Cola, ticker symbol KO, also reported earnings today. Let me pull up the live news tab to show you guys exactly what they ended up reporting. So they reported EPS of 42 cents, beating the 40 cents estimated, and sales came in at $7.2 billion versus the $7.18 billion estimated. And I saw a stat here. I believe their sales were down something like 28% year over year. Don't quote me on that. Let me just double check and see if I can see it here very quickly. Yeah, Coca-Cola sales fall 28% despite bars and restaurants, with fewer products being sold at bars and restaurants. So that's pretty interesting there. I'm not sure if that's year over year. Very well could be year over year. Probably is year over year. And that's a pretty stunning statistic there. And despite that, Coca-Cola still went up today, $1.08, up 2.3%. So those are the two earnings reports that I wanted to go over very briefly. This is the picture here of all the other companies that are reporting. Again, tomorrow we have Tesla, Microsoft, Chipotle. On Thursday we have Twitter, AT&T, Intel. On Friday we have Verizon, American Express, Honeywell to end off the week. And next week we have Apple, Amazon, and a bunch more. So let's go over these 10 stocks that I'm looking to buy right now. The first one is Tesla here, guys. TSLA. Tesla was down 4.5%, down $75 today. And this is because, like many of the other tech names out there, this is because we saw a very strong rally yesterday. So we're seeing a bit of profit taking today. And this is probably also due because, again, tomorrow they are reporting earnings, so they're taking, maybe some investors, traders are taking some money off the table in anticipation for earnings, which is completely okay. And with the sell-off today, we're actually still uptrending. I mean, we're still holding that 50 SMA here on the hourly chart at a higher low, which is very good. And from the peak, which was pre-market, believe it or not, guys, we actually hit 1,700 pre-market today. From that peak, we're down about 7% from that peak to the closing price today. So that's 7% opportunity there opened up here on Tesla, at least for the bulls out there that think that it's going to go up and maybe hit even take out the highs and go to, let's say, $2,000. This could be a good opportunity. Any dip is a good opportunity, at least for those that think it's going up to $2,000, right, guys? So at this point, I'm watching Tesla, on this dip. If it finds support tomorrow around 1570, and quite honestly, I'm going to wait until it takes out the high from this day right here, which was on the 14th of July at about 1,600. So if it finds support at about 1570, 1580, it takes out the high again at 1,600. That is where I'm going to be looking to maybe make a move back up to 1,700, right? From 16 to 1,700, that is where I think it could make a move. And don't be surprised, guys, if Tesla does end up rallying into the close of the market, which again is when they're reporting earnings. I'm talking can easily, guys, see this thing rally back up to 1,700. And again, don't trade based on my opinion. Do your own due diligence. But this is from my experience watching Tesla around earnings reports. A lot of the time, it does end up rallying into earnings. And another one I'm watching very closely here is Microsoft. Again, a lot of tech names. You saw Tesla, you saw Amazon. They sold off. And we saw Microsoft do a lot of the same. Maybe not as aggressively as some of these other names, but it still ended up selling down $3 today, down at 1.3%. And it opened up a nice window of about 2.5% of profit from the high pre-market at about $215 to where it ended up closing at about $208. And just like Tesla, I would not be surprised if they rallied into their earnings report after market hours, right? So watch for that window to potentially close. Notice how Microsoft ended up holding the high from the 15th of July as a new support today. So that could be a sign that it's tuning up to rip back up to that resistance. So again, watch this move, guys. I would not be surprised if we make it. And if we do, that could open up, or it already opened up the 3% profit, but it could be a 3% move if that ends up happening and if you end up catching it, right? So that's Microsoft. MSFT here. The next one on the list is Facebook. Facebook is very similar. We saw a pull down today, 1.5%. And if I extend this little line here to the right, you guys will be able to see that Facebook roughly, it held around $240 today as a support, which generally speaking here, it has been a support over the past couple of weeks, right? And the last couple of times we've held 240, we've rallied back up, to 245, 250, so that's kind of what I'm waiting for, right? Do we rally back up to the mid 240s, 250s? I don't know. I don't know where we're going to rally back up to, but there is potential. You can't lie about it, right? It's right in front of your face. There is potential here. If Facebook breaks 241, 242, that it could go back up to those high 240s, and heck, maybe even $250. And another one here is Beyond Meat, BYND. Beyond Meat up 1% today, up $1.40. If we pull out a bit here to the 4-hour chart, it is still downtrending. It is still downtrending based on the 180 SMA, the 50 SMA here, this green, the gold line on the 4-hour chart. But in my opinion, this is forming a very strong base at $125, $130, which was a resistance back in the beginning of the year, right around, June to about, or actually not June, January to about end of February. It was a resistance. So the fact that we're holding the support here, it was a support back in May as well as the end of June as well. That is a very good sign. So at this point, I just need to see a break out of $135. From there, I can really see Beyond Meat rallying from this point. And NEO, guys, again, like I said yesterday, how could we go a video without talking about NEO stock, guys? NEO up 6 cents today, up 0.5%, 0.5%. And like I said yesterday, watch for the resistance at 1330, 1350, and that is exactly where we struggled today, guys. We talked about it yesterday. I drew the trend line in yesterday's video, or it was in yesterday's session. I forget exactly when, but either way, we are struggling at that point. So for me, guys, at this point, NEO, it is breaking the downtrend, which is very good, a good first step to get back into $15, $16. But until we break out of $13.50, $14, I'm not touching it, right? I'm not touching it because we can still get trapped under here and maybe end up dumping and taking out $10 on the low side back into the 9s. That would not be good. I would not want to get trapped into that, right? And at this point, it's still a possibility that we do get trapped under $13 because we closed under 13 and we're trading under 13 as of right now. So watch out for 13.50 to break, and I'm going to get in roughly at about 13, I'd say 50 to 70. That's where I feel comfortable building a position, and I'm going to set an alert right around that point right now so we can just set it in stone and have it ready for tomorrow. So watch for that break. If that happens, guys, I can see NEO running back to 15, 16 bucks. And we saw a lot of strength today from the banking stocks. JP Morgan today up 2.17%, up $2.10, breaking a big resistance from the past couple of months that I've been talking about here on the channel at about 99 to 100 bucks. I guess it didn't fully break out of it quite yet since we're trading at 99.50 here after hours. But the fact that we are starting to break it, that's a good sign, because above 100 bucks, especially above 105, I can see JP Morgan going back to 110, 115, no problem. I think that is the potential it has. I can see momentum getting us there, but the bank stocks, guys, I know, momentum traders could push it there, but there is a lot of risk with the bank stocks just due to the environment we're in, with zero interest rates, the economy being where it's at. There is a bit more risk with these stocks, but a momentum play above 105, that could get us there, guys, and that's kind of a move that I'm looking to grab here. And another one is ABBV, pharmaceutical company, healthcare company here. It ended up going down 2.15%, and me being a swing trader, I love buying into stocks on weakness, especially stocks that have been uptrending for a while, and AbbVie has been uptrending ever since the end of March. And let's be honest, guys, most stocks out there have been uptrending since the end of March. But you can see this one's hit a high at about 101.30. It pulled down to where it is now, 97.40, opening up about a 3-4% window. So for me, I like it at about 98 bucks. If we end up holding this old resistance as a new support at 98, as well as that 180 SMA on the 4-hour chart here, I think that's a dip buy up to about 100, 101. I honestly think it can go even higher than 101, maybe back up to, let's say, 107. That's a big price target here on AbbVie stock. You guys can see, let's say, I think on the you can see it on the 3-year chart here. Yeah, 107. So I'm liking AbbVie from 98, 99 bucks up to about 107. So watch that move when it comes to AbbVie. And 3 more, guys. Starbucks, SBUX, today up 48 cents. It was up a lot more actually earlier in the day. It almost got to $77. And I'm really liking Starbucks here, especially since we're solidifying now $75 as a support. We're still trending under the 180 SMA here on the 4-hour chart, which is a resistance right now. So for me to get into it, I need to see a break out of it. But the fact that we popped out of 75 today, that's a good first step. So for tomorrow, watch for the 180 SMA to break here. If 76.50 pops, if we pop out of that, 77 bucks, I think Starbucks is going back up into the 80s. That's my opinion. That's what the technicals are telling me. And that's kind of what I'm waiting to trade here. And Shopify, another big tech name, we mentioned it earlier, down almost 6% today, down 56 bucks. Looking at this weakness, guys, they're reporting earnings next week as well on the 29th. This could very well be a dip buy on a stock that could take out the highs. So I'm looking at all the dips on these tech stocks, guys. As a trader, you have to, right? You have to, as since they've made so much money, they've been going up like crazy. You have to consider looking at these to make money as a trader. At the end of the day, this is where a lot of the money has been coming to. So you'd be kind of naive not to look at the tech stocks, right? And the last one here is AMD. AMD struggled a bit today, down about 50 cents, down 1% almost, but I like how it held 57 as a new support, giving me hope that 57 is going to hold and we're going to rally up to about 59.60 bucks, giving the stock from here about a 3% upside. So I'm watching AMD from 57 up to about 60 bucks. If 57 breaks, guys, we're probably going to be going down to 55, mid 55, which could also be a decent entry point, and we'll see what ends up happening from there. So overall, that's it for this video, guys. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button for me, consider subscribing to the channel, and don't forget to join our Discord chat and Facebook group. Those are free of charge to join, and claim your 2 free stocks from Webull. valued up to $1,400. All you have to do is use my affiliate link down below in the description box, put in $100, and that is how you get your 2 free stocks after a couple of business days. I also get free stocks since it is an affiliate link, and it does help me, supports me directly, as this is free content that I'm putting up here on YouTube. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I'll catch you all in the next one. Thanks again for watching. As always, stay safe out there. Peace out.